And what's interesting about it, too, is that they've tried to demonize the medical use of marijuana by saying, well, smoking anything is bad for you. Well, meanwhile, there's still ads for Camel and Rolling Stone magazine and everywhere. There's still, cigarettes are still legal. But the point is that more and more people are coming out and saying, they want to have the health benefits of cannabinoids and the things that come from taking cannabis without getting high. Most people, in the medical marijuana movement don't really want to walk around getting high. It's really not about getting high. It's about enjoying the health benefits from this plant. And now they're discovering new ways of ingesting it. There's this thing called CDCs where you actually eat the lower water leaves off the plant every day. Put them in your salad or whatever. It has incredible health benefits with inflammation. Look it up, CDCs.
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that cannabis is one of God's gifts, and it can certainly be abused. You could eat 20 heads of lettuce and bust your gut. You could drink 10 gallons of water and hurt yourself. We'll be right back with Kevin Booth. Yeah, here's the New York Times article. We always document what we claim here. March 11th, 2007. Give me a document cam shot for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. A man sentenced to life in prison 17 years ago. Just 17 years ago. This was 20 years ago now. This is from 2007. A man sentenced to life in prison 17 years ago after smoking marijuana while on probation for his part in an armed robbery is set to be free. So, smoking marijuana. But that's a more modern case, and that's for breaking parole. The bigger issue here is I've seen cases for just the marijuana 50 years in prison. Kevin Booth.
The point is that I doubt he did the robbery while he was high. And I know that's an old cliche, and there's several cliches that have to be said over and over again because they're so ridiculous, but you have to keep repeating it about the death statistics. But first of all, when the police talk about people committing violent crimes while high, most likely they're also extremely drunk at the same time, and they just found some THC in their blood. And when the DEA and the Narcotics Task Force, everybody they talk about the statistic about how marijuana is by far the most harmful and destructive drug out there. Well, I've figured out how they come about that number. It's real easy. If you go to any kind of treatment center, jail, or anything like that, where they've incarcerated people for crystal meth, heroin, or PCP, crack, anything like that, if you ask them to check off the boxes, what all do you do? Well, most likely they're all going to check off cigarettes, beer, and what else? Marijuana. So they use that as this common denominator to say, look, everyone who does heroin also smokes marijuana. Everyone who does crystal meth also smokes marijuana. Therefore, it's the gateway drug, and that's how they come upon that conclusion.
Well, it's a gateway drug because they make it illegal and lump it in with cocaine and heroin, so people then get into the circles that are already doing illegal things.
No, exactly, and that's what this whole dispensary thing is all about right now. Whether people think this whole medical marijuana is just a front to get high or whatever, at least it's a way of taking marijuana out of the criminal's hands.
Well, why can you or I or anybody pull in over 21 and buy a gallon of vodka and go kill ourselves with it, and that's fine. And we know alcohol kills hundreds of thousands a year, marijuana zero, but that's okay, but people shouldn't be able to go into a dispensary with a doctor's note and get marijuana.
Well, maybe that's what the government wants us to do. Maybe the government wants us to buy products that they can tax and then kill ourselves. I don't know. I was
talking to a lobbyist a few weeks ago who works at the Texas Capitol, and he was saying, oh, no, it's true. The alcohol lobby and the cigarette lobby are some of the biggest donors to keep marijuana illegal. Why is that, Kevin?
Of course, because they, because they would lose so much. If marijuana were legal across the board, so many people would smoke pot instead of drinking beer or smoke a little weed instead of smoking cigarettes. It's just obvious, painfully obvious.
Well, on the National Archives, you can pull up notes to George Washington's care for his toothaches, and they're telling him smoke this variety of hemp, which is the variety that has the THC. So George Washington was smoking it. I guess he deserves life in prison.
Well, and that alone should be the only reason if some people out there who are still thinking, it makes people dumb, makes people high, it needs to stay illegal. No, if the Founding Father did it and wrote about it, that's case closed. It's argument over. And they know that. Either that or go live somewhere else. If the Founding Father of our country did this thing, spoke highly of it, That's the end of the argument.
He grew it. He grew the type of marijuana, not just hemp. And that's another thing. They banned in the country all the hemp that has no THC that's better than cotton. I mean, it's something farmers can grow anywhere. The cotton lobbies lobbied to have it banned because they then had machines that could remove and strip and use it. So they said, oh, my God, let's ban this.
No, of course.
Why don't they at least legalize the hemp?
Well, because I think they feel like if they legalize hemp, then it's going to, everybody can grow marijuana. No one's going to know the difference. But also then hemp will put, I think when they came out with polyester, I think that was another big lobby against it. The big polyester movement. That was maybe a little bit before your time. But when I was growing up, all of a sudden, everyone wanted to wear polyester clothing. That was the thing, and supposedly that had a lot to do with wanting to keep hemp out of the market.
Yeah, Dow Chemical and DuPont lobbied in the 30s to get the drug laws passed. I want to talk about how weed won the West and take some phone calls, Kevin, when we come back, because the film covers a whole host of issues and is a lot more hardcore on government drug dealing and everything else than even American Drug War, though the name, it isn't as hardcore, in my opinion. I mean, I like the name, but I don't like it because it doesn't really explain. They're now saying in Canada, in Europe, and now McCain's bill, they do want to make vitamin C, other things, plants, aloe vera, melaleuca prescription, fish oil prescription, and they want to use the same type marijuana laws to do it. So, folks, they've built up this grid, and they're going to try to use it to keep you from getting your vitamins and minerals. So they're not going to stop there. Big Pharma wants to knock out its competition. It's following the drug war paradigm playbook to get that job done. We'll be right back with Kevin Booth. I'm Alex Jones.